This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
This episode contains spoilers from Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love and mentions Manacled and Breathmint's battle scars. Please see show notes for more.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the fantasy, literature, and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Being in Love, the cult classic, some would say, I would say, legendary fan fiction by Is This Self-Care? Jess, what would you say? Is this a canon event?
It feels like a canon event. If it's not, it should be. Because this is the first thing that you had me read after Manacled. And you have a specific rotation that you love to read your Hermione fics. And you've been doing it for quite some time. So this is just another foray into the wonderful guidance that you've given me in our continued journey with the podcast and fantasy. And it's everything. I can't stop smiling. I'm so cheesy about it, like cheesy giddy. Best rom-com that I read in 2023. Easily. I wanted to talk about it all the time. And I still do. I'm wearing the merch that you got me for my birthday of this. So thank you.
You are welcome. It looks fantastic. You say the best rom-com that you read last year. I would say this is the best rom-com I've ever read.
Ever, yeah.
I haven't read a lot. I mean, I've said that, but this is the best thing that I have ever read in the kick your feet, giggle, smile, but also laugh hysterically and just love genre, whatever that genre is. This is that, and it's perfect.
Yeah, and you're right, because it does feel like, I think I remember texting you. I go, I've never laughed this hard at a rom-com. I've never smiled. Like I think I've left you voice memos from the first time I read this, because this was my second reread. This is, I think you probably lost count on yours. Where I had tears, like laughing with tears. And it's so funny because every time we approach and read, and you've exposed us to a new Hermione fanfic, everything feels like canon. I'm like, in this, it's like, and Everything Everywhere All at Once, and you have all these different universes, and they're all equally true, and how things are panning out. That's what Hermione feels like. I'm like, this is so them in this world. Like, this would absolutely happen. Including, I thought of this correlation in this reread between Harry and Ron, which are not the focus, but their dynamic gave me very much Hitchcock and Scully vibes from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And I couldn't stop laughing when I made that comparison.
I love that. Now that's all I can see. That's amazing. That's amazing.
I really gotta go. It's not a problem. It's not the problem. And next thing you know, they're off attacking Theo.
It's not.
I swear.
Well, I think that's a good way to kind of give the disclaimer of this episode. The disclaimer being that nothing that we could ever say, Jess, you or I, nothing that we could say does any sort of justice to this work. This work is so funny. The characters have so much chemistry. The banter is off the charts. The little things, the little touches, it is indescribable. We never could be able to touch on or accurately describe any of it, honestly.
No, and it's also not just our mains. It's not just Draco and Hermione. It's everybody that does become involved when you have Pansy, when you have Theo, when you have Harry and Ron step in, like when you have Tonks. everything, Narcissa, like everybody who plays a role in this and into the story that's created, it's immediately like, yes, that's actually how it would happen. And that is absolutely their personality. And because so many people are so familiar with the world, it's hard to like, you already visualize it. So you're already seeing in your head everything playing out.
So I was talking to you, Jess, earlier, as we do, and I was going to tell you about The Mummy and how this and The Mummy are just really like interconnected to me and why that is. Okay. This is an adventure. We are on an adventure here. And I do feel that the pure adventure movie, I say movie, but like adventure genre is overlooked a little bit. Because you have like really silly adventure movies, and this is an adventure book because you are going to like what five adventures, six adventures here. You are gallivanting across the country. You are very pretty with someone else that is also very pretty,
and you're both like shamelessly internally acknowledging the other's prettiness. It's so good.
And the competence too, because if we're looking at like adventure, we're looking at The Mummy and like Rick and like, oh, you know, everybody's very good at what they're doing. We have a very good librarian and a very good adventure man. And then here we have a very good, perfect researcher and a very good, if not slightly lazy, Auror. And it's just the perfect dynamic. And this giddiness is something that I personally hadn't felt since I saw The Mummy. So when I read this, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is that feeling of like being swept away, because that's what it feels like when you're reading this. You are swept away on this adventure between the two of them. And it is, again, something that we will try to touch on, but is indescribable and does merit a reread if you've read it and a first read if you haven't.
Well, and speaking of being swept away, it also adds to, you know how sometimes when we're reading like a second book or you know, when we have our travel book, I say in quotes, or you're watching a movie where you're like, okay, this kind of feels like it ran longer than it should, or you're reading a book and you're thinking, oh my gosh, it ran longer than, no, every single piece of this is so necessary. And at no point are you reading it thinking, all right, let's wrap it up. You're just, you know, gobble it up. Give me more. I can't get enough. And we have so much of it in the best way possible, because you're just always hungry for more of the giddiness and just how everything. I know we can't say enough praise about the artistry that comes with fan fiction and the dedication that people put altruistically into the fanfic community.
And bringing that up, Jess,
don't tell me who our characters are. I think we know who our characters are.
No. I know that I personally have read this traditionally. I have read this through audio as well. This is incredibly enjoyable, both traditionally and in the audio format. I've done the audio through several different ways, and this one just being my latest. It's just lovely. Even in the robotic voice that you read when you read it traditionally, if you do the talk to text and it's the robot voice, it still hits. And that is saying something.
Oh, that is saying something. Because I've only read it traditionally. Like I said, it was my second time. And the second time I read it through Memes to an End through Spotify. So like that was how we accessed it. Again, we'll have like a bunch of different links in our show notes. But I think the fanfic community and every fandom that we have, because without you, we wouldn't have so much joy and sadness, because we've definitely cried. This is our second Hermione that we're covering. But should we like go into a if you're listening and you're new to Hermione or you're kind of curious, I think the best way we could probably get into some of the overview is the synopsis of Draco Malfoy and the mortifying ordeal of being in love, or how we sometimes will text to each other Batmobile, even though it's DMAT. The acronym is there. We'll put it all there.
We'll put it all there. Synopsis. Hermione is a researcher. Draco is a lazy Auror. Hermione is about to have a breakthrough. Draco has been assigned to protect her from Shacklebot, and shenanigans and hijinks ensue during the course of trying to find a cure for things. Yeah.
I mean, you have your tropes. You have your one bed trope. You have forced proximity. I mean, they're co-workers in a way. He is there is the bodyguard trope. There is, I'll use this in air quotes, one horse trope, the horse being a broom. I feel like, I mean, technically you can say it's enemies to lovers if you go the traditional route of how we know these two characters, but it is touched upon in this because we are at a post-war, they're in their 30s, so they're like, we have a lot of growing to do, and even Draco's friends are all like, you might be stuck in the past, but Hermione is grown now and girl is looking good.
There's also fake dating for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Just a little bit. Just a little, 6 hours or so.
Oh, how can we forget the billionaire trope because of his donations, his quote unquote anonymous donations that he's making in support of Hermione?
Oh, it's just all so good. I don't know if it's a trope, but like, when they show up, there's a little bit of like, who did this to you? Where she's like, you're limping, or, you're not, or when they both show up for each other during their exercises because they're both so scared for each other because they thought they were in danger. I don't know what trope that's called, but that's something.
Well, and then I guess this is very niche to Hermione fandom of it all, but we have a signet ring trope.
Yes. They don't do anything like super fun with it in this one.
I have yet to read that, but apparently it's very popular.
It's very popular. It's nice. Okay. So as we said, it is again impossible for us to convey the chemistry and the banter correctly. So we are going to touch on the major plot points and then sprinkle in us just giggling like absolute like fools. Because that's really what it is. It's hard to cover this. Here's the thing. Jess, I said this to you before. It is hard to cover this in any sort of like academic way because I don't want to pay attention. No. I don't want to take notes.
You even said that you went before we started recording. Well, not this episode, but rereading for this episode. You said, I got my vibes reread in. Now I'm going to do my notes reread. And I said, what notes? Just, let's vibe. And she goes, no, because we'll have a 7-hour episode wanting to go into every little detail if I don't. And I said, okay, you're the pro.
Yeah, taking notes was like tedious and not something that I wanted to do, but I love you all, so I did it. But
I'm so sorry.
It was helpful, honestly, just to like really cement the story. But it was something that was difficult to do because you just want to vibe. You want to fall in love with these characters as they fall in love with each other. And they do fall in love with each other. Draco falls right away. And it is just lovely. And it is so fun. So, okay. Let's get into it. Let's do the glancing blow. Like glancing. Chapter 1, right off the bat. Draco is an Auror. He's excellent at it. He completed the program in a year and a half. Thank you very much.
He's so smart.
It usually takes 3. And in this particular morning,
he also took his newts, which which Ron and Harry did not.
They did not. It is January. And Draco is getting the pick of assignments from Tonks. He can either go for trolls doing despicable acts with humans, or he can go for a protection assignment. He chooses the protection assignment. That assignment is Hermione.
And he did not know it is Hermione. And Harry and Ron are very upset that he had this option before they did. She's our friend, blah, blah, blah. And our resident Hitchcock and Scully are very pressed about it. And Draco, like, there's no bad blood between them at this point. Like, they're just like, look, post-war, shit happened. We are professional acquaintances that don't hate each other anymore. If anything, they just kind of rib on each other a little bit. And that's that, you know, and even Draco's like, cause I'm better than you, you know, and he doesn't let them forget it. And Hermione later in the story also knows this in every capacity. And she tries to justify it. And she tries to even evade some questions. And Draco holds her accountable. Like, I'm waiting. And she goes, shit, was really hoping that was a rhetorical question because they are dumb, which is really funny because, again, in this version, I have already put them in Hitchcock and Scully mode, and that's how they act. And it's, again, it's just another, like, in this universe, this is absolutely what would happen.
And it would. And in this universe, Hermione and Ron were engaged right after the war and they broke it off, but they are still like friends. And he's with somebody else and Harry is with Ginny. Like, everybody's there. Draco just likes really nasty like romps in Paris. He is single.
Oh yeah, he's a fuck boy. And not I wouldn't even say like in a bad way. Like, I feel like he's very upfront with like the people he's having, you know, relationships with. I say relationships. It's really, he's just like kind of fucking around, but he's very upfront. I'm not looking for a relationship. I'm not looking for anything serious. I kind of just, you want to get down, and everybody's like, oh my God, you're Draco. I'll be the one to change you. And that's not what he's about.
That is not what no, not at all. Not at all. Cause he's about Hermione from this moment on. From the 9 a.m. meeting at Cambridge at Trinity College, because of course she's at Cambridge, Dr. Healer Granger, this first meeting, 15 years, they meet each other. This is the explanation. Hermione's working on a project that's going to have implications to a certain population. They think that population won't be like pleased about it. And Shacklebot ordered all like full protection, absolutely like around the clock. And no one will tell Malfoy like exactly what's going on. It's that secret. And everyone that Hermione has told has taken a vow of secrecy because, like, of course they have.
Which is so serious in this wizard. I mean, I know we remember it from Manacled, but a vow of secrecy, like you're bound. It's magic bound. Magic and blood bound, I feel. I don't remember.
Yeah, it is like so serious. Like, oh my goodness. Okay, so Hermione's working on a breakthrough. She says it's going to take 1 more year. So this is our timeline. Our story takes like...
I know you love a timeline.
I love a timeline. Our story takes about a full year.
I picked up on the timeline the second time around. Yeah. I was like, oh, and she loves a timeline.
Yep. So Draco's like, all right. I have to set up protection on you, on your house, on your car, on your cat, on your everything. We got to make you safe. We have to have a penetration test. And thus starts the innuendos, the sexual innuendos. They're hilarious. They're everywhere. They giggle about penises all the time. It's perfect.
Oh, the euphemisms are so good. And I feel like it gets them out of their little bubbles that they kind of put each other in from the stigma that what they knew, not even a stigma, but like how they knew each other growing up. And it helped each of them get that idea of each other out.
Mm-hmm.
Crotch.
It's just,
like,
oh, it's so good. It's so lovely. So again, we're glancing, all of this stuff. The penetration test happens. It happens Monday evening. Hermione's there. She watches. Draco has to break down all this like fake door. Then he goes to the real door. Then he goes into the lab and he's like checking out the lab and everything. And he goes to the computers and it's it's really fun. I like this version of Hermione that is the inventor, that is like a muggle doctor, but also like a healer. She's combining all of these things. So she is able to use a computer in a magical room because she has created magical discs, magical like killing discs that she can use as a perimeter so that she can use her computer. And Draco's like, that's the thing. That's the thing. And that is fun later.
And vice versa too, because then she'll take her muggle information and learnings and research and apply it to the magical side of things too. So she's really, I don't even want to say she is double dipping, but she's also pulling double duty in both the muggle and the magical world.
Yes. And Draco says that. He's like, you don't look really great. You look kind of wan. What's your schedule? Holy shit. What is going on? What are these holidays? What is your security like at your house? Because if I couldn't get anything out of searching your lab, I will go after you. Bam. He goes to like attack her. And he's like, what the hell? What, like, you are thin, you are pale, you are busy all the time. Is it worth it? And she says, yes, like, this is really worth it. I am really working towards something very important. And this is kind of where Draco is noticing too, that like, she is like working towards something better. She is a good person. She is generous with her time. And he also then just puts trackers on literally everything, including her hairpins.
Well, and part of that is because she was evading him. She wasn't being truthful with her schedule, what she was doing. And he confronted her about it. He goes, this defeats the whole purpose. And if nobody's going to tell me what this huge secret is that is being kept, somebody needs to do this is what we're resorting to. Until you get, and we need to have communication. That was a big thing because, we talk about it being an adventure. Well, if we want to also have boundaries, it's, well, let's discuss. Maybe I don't necessarily need to be there if you're in a room of 5 people, but maybe if it's a more public space and these people aren't vetted, because they both have to work together, whether they like it or not, if Hermione wants to continue her research, which she does.
Yes. And this is where Draco notices all of the asterisked holidays. And the asterisked holidays are the start of our adventure. And that's where they fight, but like always agree to meet up and go on these adventures together. And I took a picture of like what the holidays are. So we have Imbolc, the Ostera, Beltane, Midsummer, and there's like the autumn equinox, and then Samhain, All Hallows, for the like major ones. Those are our big adventures. So fun. We love this. We also love, of course, the Malfoy rings as a trope. And that is something that is on this list that Draco comes up with for protection, that they have to go over when he shows up at her house. Let me see your cat, your yoga room, your book on a plinth. And of course, Draco is starving and smelly, and they go over the list here. And this is where Draco stress eats all of the biscuits, which I love. And it's just like such a fun little detail. Also, the detail of Hermione not showing her arms and still wearing the long sleeves. The inclusion of the Weasley jabbering jotters, and the rings go on, baby. Yes, they do. The rings go on. It is so important in a Hermione that the rings go on. It's very fun.
It's fun.
It's very fun. And of course, the rings are, what did she call them? A magical Fitbit?
Yeah. And then at one point, aren't the rings the way they're spelled? He wants it to go in one direction, that he can pick up on her, but he doesn't want her picking up on his increased heart rate. Because he's like, what if I'm jerking off to her? I don't want her to know.
Exactly. Okay. 2 weeks later, this is Imbok. This is our first adventure. Draco apparates into the moving car. It is indescribably, like nothing that I can say. So when I tell you that he apparates into the car and he's like head first and his feet are up and the car only plays Austrian folk songs.
He's already like, he comes from magic. He doesn't know the concept of operating a muggle car. It's also in motion. She's also like, you could have splinched yourself. And of course, he's not going to admit it, but he's going to be like, well, I'm too good for that. He's going to be a little, not so humble brag that he's better than most. So it was never going to be an issue.
It's okay. So it's just so fun. They were joking about putting a sneakoscope in the glove box, and he did. So now when everybody starts lying to each other because our banter is flying, it is pop, 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 popping. And when they start lying, the sneakoscope starts going off and calls them on their bullshit. And they both sit there like, well, damn. Well, damn. Okay. Well, what are we doing? We are on adventure number 1. We are looking at moss at Glastonbury Forest, confirming a theory, retracing steps, right? This is the first instance where Draco discovers that Granger is pretty. Granger has an ass. That ass is nice.
He loves a muggle clothes to see her bum.
Love to see the bums.
He's an ass man in this one.
Yeah, he's an ass man. And Hermione is looking for moss, which she does end up finding after like a big romp through the forest. It's all big and muddy, very fun. They then go to the Chalicewell Gardens, looking for the green well. Yes. All of this to say that they may or may not be hags. They might have been hags. They might not have been hags. No one's really sure.
Draco's sure, and Hermione's in denial.
Draco's sure. He's like, you gave them awful. They're hags. She's like, no, that's just traditional offering for hags. Very fun. Very, very fun.
He's always like, what's funny in this one? He's always like, what shit did you pull me into now?
Yep.
The whole time.
Because again, nothing that we could ever say will describe the ticket purchasing process that happened before this and the flirting with the essential oils and the candles.
I was going to say the random girl, hitting on him, giving her his number, and he's an Auror. He doesn't even have a cell phone.
It's like numbers. Why does she give me her number?
What are all of these? Yeah.
What are all these numbers? All these little things. Everything is so perfect. I got you double espressos. Why? How'd you know that I like them? Because they seem like you. Why? Because they're overpriced. Like the banter is so good. All of this to say, at the green well, Hermione successfully gets water from the well, and up they go. Back up to the gardens, which Hermione does not like, and it is very amusing, the screaming that she does when they go up there. And then they go visit a library, and they watch the sunset, and it is lovely. Now, this is one of my favorite... Again, I don't know if it's a trope, but it's one of my favorite things. Draco wakes up and he feels the heart rate going on the ring, and he's all in a panic, and he goes to Hermione's house, and he's trying to finite incitatum on her because he is convinced that she is being crucioed, but she's doing yoga.
I should have looked up. Maybe poor work on me and not researching the technical yoga pose she was in for him to, because in my head I'm thinking like, okay, maybe it's like The Grudge where she's just kind of entangled in herself. Again, I'm vibing with the read. I'm not looking to research. It's just such a first for me if y'all have been following the podcast for a little bit. Just vibes. And can you imagine, like, you can't imagine, because he describes how confused he was walking into it. Also, it's not even 5 o'clock in the morning. Why the hell is she up? Laura Marie Sounds like you, with your 4:30 call time. So he's just in his robe and his slipper, not even slippers. And she's in her yoga clothes. And it's another thing that he's like, damn. Yada, yada, yada. Like,
for real. And she's like, what are you doing here? He's like, what are you doing? What are you doing? She's like, well, you can't just come in here. He's like, okay, damn, okay, fine. And then Hermione apologizes a little bit later for her reaction. She's like, I really just should have been really grateful that you thought I was in danger and you showed up really quickly. I was just like really surprised. And thus begins the Jotter flirting, which goes from now to the end, which is so perfect. And here's the thing. I think everyone has had a moment where you are flirting on your phone and you're smiling and you're completely in it and you look up and you're just like, oh, like real life is up here because you're so into the flirt. And that happens to both of them a lot. And it's amazing. And it's so funny. Again, it's funny. And it is lovely. Again, I had you read this after Manacled. That's a canon event. You read this after Manacled. It was lovely to fit this into my rotation, right? After Manacled, because it didn't have it for so long and then you did. And it was just like, yes, this is exactly what everyone needed. Again, and the author said, like, this is the story that was that they wrote into the world because they didn't really see it. And again, this is just so perfect. Okay. Hermione has a conference that Draco attends and ends up
I'm laughing
pretending.
I'm like, as if I don't know what we're going to talk about. I'm like, this part was so good. This part was so good.
He ends up pretending to be a pilot with her doctor friends for 6 hours at the bar after the conference. What are you doing in town? What are you doing in town? Dr. Granger. She's like, oh my God, like these are my colleagues.
Well, but then at the same time, like this came up after he was like doing legitimacy. I'll eventually say that word right. On the people in the room, and he finds out one of the doctors has a crush on her, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, you can't use legitimacy." And he goes, "Well, really? Because this doctor thinks this about you." And she goes, "Crap, I gotta get out of this." And she's like, play my boyfriend. She goes, what? So now he has to keep rolling with it. Meanwhile, he's saying he's a pilot, while to get into the conference, he pretended to be this really renowned doctor. And she goes, that was a bold choice. He goes, I don't know anybody. You're in a room full of humans. This is just a name I grabbed.
It's hilarious. They drink G&Ts. They get delightfully buzzed. They have cute little drunk banter. They bump into each other.
He gets so drunk because he doesn't really drink. Oh, it's so, and he's leaning in on her. And she goes like, I can't have you apparate. You're going to splint yourself. Is there a flu network? They're so cute.
They're so cute. They're just so cute. They're so cute. Okay, moving on. Draco goes to Hermione's house when she is not there to ward her windows and ends up spying on her book that is Revelations that is displayed on the plinth. And he barely touches it. And Hermione loses her shit. She loses her absolute shit. She sends howlers. She is all over his Jotter about it. She sends her Patronus. She sends a word to Tonks.
While he's on other assignments, because at this point, as much as he is protecting Hermione, it's not like a full-time protection just yet, because they have their boundaries in place, and just kind of the research that is involved doesn't require 24/7 watch, because she's not in danger 24/7 just yet. Foreshadowing. Oh, it's so good. And because Hermione has really kind of harassed Draco about this, he's stunned his Jotter. He's done all these things so that it doesn't bother him anymore. Okay. Hermione, also angry about this, has taken off the ring and has gone on her Astera adventure without Draco. And Draco's like, what the absolute shit, man? So he sees that she left the ring at home, and he uses the hairpins and he pops in front of her on the hill. And what happens here
is that they get engaged. They get engaged, and Draco even says, like, we got engaged in March. Like, let's just call it what it is.
They put it part of their story.
Yeah, and it is so perfect. But he does put the ring back on her finger here, but it's done in front of muggles. So they say, like, oh my God, you got engaged. And Hermione's like, yay.
Not intentionally. Like, they were fighting, of course.
They were fighting.
And then the muggles interrupted their fight, and they just see a ring. And they're fighting because she took it off. And he's like, how am I supposed to protect you? This defeats the purpose of you not wearing it, which also goes to what you said earlier, how he just puts tracking devices on all her hairpins and bobby pins, because if anybody who's listening has had bobby pins, you can buy them. You buy them for an eternity. You could buy a lifetime supply, and you'll still lose those motherfuckers and have to buy a new lifetime pack.
Yep. Exactly. That is the major thing at this adventure is they get fake engaged in front of people, and it's like, well, I thought you'd be embarrassed. Why would I care? I don't care. Why? And the banter. All right, now we have the reverse happening. We have Draco daredeviling at his house at the Quidditch pitch. Up high, down low, back and forth, zoom, zoom, zoom. And here, pop, comes Hermione, barefoot with her wand in her big sweatshirt, terrified for Draco because she felt his heart rate
because of the ring.
Through the ring. And Draco's like, oh my God, how did you get here? And she ended up having to hop through like a huge flu network and lots of apparating to get there. And it was crazy. And Draco's like, why did you do this? She's like, I thought you were dying, which is exactly what Draco did when he showed up for yoga. And I love that they both have these moments.
I love those. And, and she exhausted her magic to get here. And he does even say, he goes, and what were you going to do? You exhausted your magic. You're already tired because, this is on top of like her regular routine, and she's pulling, double duty, and she still made him a priority through all of that. And it also, he teases her about it too. He's like, you thought about me. She's like, shut up, but I'm tired.
And she's also still afraid of the manor still. That is important. He goes, just use my flu here. And she says, no, I don't want to go into your house. And Draco's like, damn, I get it. All right, let's go home. And he takes her home. Very sweet, very sweet, very sweet.
And he also acknowledges it internally, not to her, but he goes like, I'm such a twit. Like, of course she, even though, because since the war, they've done construction on the house. They basically demolished the drawing room and recreated it into a conservatory. And he goes, but of course she doesn't know that. She doesn't know that this house has changed or how much I have changed. And acknowledging her trauma, and it's a shared trauma too, is just as important. I don't know. I love them. There's nothing that I don't like about them. You could give me a toxic story and I'll still be like, and another thing.
They're so good. They're so good. Okay. The party at the Seneca. This is the not party. Here's the thing about the not party. Draco just sees Hermione out of the corner of his eye. And when he finds out that it's her, because he wanted to shag her, when he finds out it's her, he's like horrified, but also kind of not. And then
he is and he isn't. He's like, I've been checking her out all night. Of course it's her. Night. Damn it. But also not so much.
But then Theo is there, and Theo is sicked. Harry Potter is sicked on Theo by Draco into just like a little game. It's just a game. The major thing to come out of this party is the banter, the dance between the two of them, Narcissa seeing the dance between Hermione and Draco, and then Theo really getting harassed out of the party by Harry. He ends up leaving.
So good. And Hermione's in funny. Slytherin green.
Yes, and Hermione is in Slytherin green, which is, it's lovely. It's lovely. Okay, moving on. Again, nothing that we can say can do it. So we just have to move on, because
all we can do is talk about, gush, love, and hope you do the same.
And hope you do the same, because we have to move on to eating gooey pie out of the tin, which happens next after Draco wards the house in the rain. But this is when they eat the gooey pie out of the tin, and it's all very lovely. And then they end up like reading on the sofa together about the Ogni Islands. Like, oh, that's our next adventure. All right. This is also where Draco's like, my mom's going to invite you to tea. So like, you need to work yourself up to that because she should go. It would be good. Like, it would be good. But yeah. Good, right? Ogni Islands. We gotta go to the polished knob. But Hermione is late and they miss the ferry. So what happens is Draco.
And on a technicality, I'd be just as pissed too. She is on time, technically. The boat didn't leave yet, but the boat does what they want.
Yeah, no, the boat absolutely.
They're like, oh, we felt like leaving early. She's like, by 2 minutes, she could have made it.
Absolutely could have made it. The Ogni Isles. This is this Beltane? No, what? Yeah, this is Beltane.
Yeah, so it's important that Beltane. Of course, we love a timeline. There is something that they need to get on the islands. And it could and because of the magic of Beltane, this is the only time that they can get it. Otherwise, it pushes Hermione's research back an entire year. And the next boat isn't till the next day. It's not, the last ferry out for the day, whatever it is gone. So they really only have one choice, which is our one broom trope.
It's our one broom trope, which is so amazing. And it's a crappy old broom. Draco does it. Hermione hates flying. She's gripping on tight. It's this whole lovely thing. They see hippocampi over the ocean. It's delightful. Draco says that he will remember it forever. It's just this exhilarating feeling. It was like nothing ever before. And the smells are very important. And Draco has been describing smells pretty regularly, but he describes this like the smell of Hermione and then the breeze and all of this. It's fantastic.
Is this the part where she goes, oh my gosh, it's like when she's able to kind of relinquish her fear for a little bit and she's like, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. And he goes, yes, but he's not talking about the view.
That's a little bit later.
But it's still, so he can say it anytime.
He can say it anytime. But yes. Okay. So they get to the island for Beltane. They pick a little peat fire. They let it burn out. She needs to get the ash. The timeline, they've been together. I say they've been together. It's been 5 months, right? It's May. Hermione falls asleep on Draco's shoulder and he's like, that's kind of weird. Huh. I'm feeling things about that. Huh. Okay. And then they wake up and they have to take the ferry back, which is so much fun.
And he's kind of bummed about.
Yeah, he's like, oh,
darn. Yeah.
But also, Draco had transfigured where Hermione was sleeping into something a little bit more comfortable. And as a result, Draco didn't have like enough oomph to do anything for himself. So his neck was kind of messed up. And Hermione basically berates him into letting her fix it. And he's like, that was nice. And then they flew home. And that's the end of that adventure.
Well, and I like that throughout the story, they are constantly, I don't want to say showing their cards, but I think showing what each of them is like how smart they are, what they're capable of. And I think that they're both realizing, holy shit, like I knew that they were smart, but I didn't realize like the level that they're at. And I mean, you even have Draco saying, I remember back in school, I was top tier until this person came along and I felt threatened. I felt like I actually had to apply myself, which also kind of ties into what you were saying earlier about him being like a lazy Auror, because everything comes so easy to him. Like he doesn't put in that effort because he's like, even my bare minimum is better than everybody else.
Which is so true too. So true. Okay. So Hermione's wards are triggered at her house and Draco pops up, doesn't see anything, jotters Hermione that he's going to come see her at Cambridge to talk about it. and then pops up directly in front of her and scares the absolute piss out of her. And it is so funny. It is so funny. And this is also where Draco calls Hermione professor, and she goes, don't call me that. He goes, I kind of like it, professor. I like it, professor.
Oh, yeah. He wants to role play so fucking bad.
He's like, would you give me detention, professor? And she's like, oh my God, please stop. Please stop. No. But this is where we get a little bit of plot, which is funny, after he scares the shit out of her, which is very, very fun. We have Larson. Larson, this is our muggle, our head of the Danish pharmaceuticals. He is suspicious, but he's a muggle. He's a muggle.
Draco clocks that so fast.
So fast. He's like, I don't think so. But this is where Draco says, okay, fine. One more fucking incident like this, Hermione, and you're going to have to vow secrecy me, and you're going to tell me what's going on. One more incident. By the way, what's a love psychic? Because I got all these potions and I'm on this mission. What's your Amortentia smell like? Why does mine smell like expensive cologne? I don't know. Why does mine smell like toffee and coffee? You little...
The fact that they had a whole different scent, love smell, I don't know. And then they're in denial about it's the other person. And even when, I know I'm jumping ahead here, when there's like the friend, what would you call it? Like game night with friends. They lied to each other about what they were smelling. Cause they were like, we've been hanging out so much that I'm going to call myself out if I say the truth.
Yeah, it is really something. They said, like, did yours change? There's this whole thing with the gardener. It's really lovely. Oh, there's a tea party. And really, okay, again, we really have to glance over things because we will be here for 3 hours, and that is not the goal here. The thing about the tea party is Hermione freaks out. She has a really lovely time, and then she ends up freaking out. Draco sees it. They end up eating cake together and sitting on the bench and having a really lovely time. And Draco does not want to rejoin the party. And this is like the first instance where he's like, damn.
This is when they go outside to the gardens, that bench, right? Yeah.
It's like, damn.
And then, I was going to say, and then when people come out, and I don't want to say interrupt, they're just like, hey, what are you guys doing out here? He picks up on the little thing of her scooting away from him, like creating more space. And he's already like, wait, she doesn't like me. Is she embarrassed by me? And his insecurities that he's had his whole life resurface again.
Yep. It's lovely. Zabini also shows up and is like, hey, again.
Blaze is all about, he goes, if you won't, I will.
Yep. Oh, it's lovely. All right.
Who was your fan cast? I know we talked about that. Did you have a fan cast for Blaze in this one, or did you have it for all the right things?
Nope. Not in this one.
Okay.
Not in this one. Okay. Mid-June. Draco has a manticore bite. We are discussing the midsummer solstice. This is where the nun pitching happens. I say nun pitching. This is where Hermione goes, do you want to do a robbery? And Draco's like, bet. Let's go. Let's rob. And what are they robbing? They are robbing Mary Magdalene's skull, which is in the south of France, which is guarded by some nuns, which are actually witches. And they have to go as muggles to bumble through the monastery so that they can eventually like get through and steal it. It is going to be incredibly warded. And Hermione is a little bit nervous about it. But there's banter about penises and then, about brooms in pockets and little crevices. It's very funny. And they agree to go. Meanwhile, Draco goes to a party and he is uninterested in all of the women that he sees there, which is fun. Okay.
Well, and then he starts saying, he's like, this person isn't this person isn't that. And then this is another realization that floods him. He goes, what did he say? When did Granger become the barometer at which he measured all women?
Yeah. which is the truth. Okay. All right. Here's the thing. This entire dinner and hotel situation in France before the robbery is so charming and so lovely, and is not something that I think we can do justice. This is hormone and crotch. I can't describe it.
Here's the thing. They can't, not just the scene, but if we talk about just like the laughter that comes with their aliases, I'll say, they can't even take these moments seriously, to the point that they have to turn away their reservation cards, their dining plans, anything that references this inside joke from now through the end of the book. But I agree with you that this scene, there's a serenity to it.
Yes. This is the scene where Draco says that Hermione is kissed by candlelight, where she's gorgeous. He realizes that she's beautiful. She's in a sundress. He realizes that the scar is still there. He understands like what is going on with her, and like, you know, covering up the scar and the trust that she's showing, all of this stuff. This is also where Hermione says that she invented the jotters, like, and she's using that money to fund her research. And Draco starts daydreaming about Hermione, and it starts here and it doesn't stop. They walk on the beach. They go to the marker. He carries her. You know, it's all of this stuff. And you know, when she walked away, she was wearing nothing but light. It's glorious. It is a glorious, romantic, perfect scene where Draco is falling helplessly in love.
Hard, and I don't want to say fast, but it feels fast because of the pace that we're reading. And I think he's also really realizing that you know how sometimes it's like we talk about rereading things when we're older with a different perspective. He had to go back on all of his thoughts of his insecurities with Hermione, she was challenging him the whole time, and genuinely being a good person, because him realizing that she is the inventor of the jotters, he goes, she doesn't have to work ever. She's set for life, and she's funding her own research through her own means for whatever the reason is, because he still doesn't know the reason, but to make like for a better tomorrow.
They have very lovely morning banter. Just honestly, just stop listening to us and just go read this.
that should be the episode title.
Yeah, that's the episode title. Stop listening to us. Just go read this. They have it's really lovely morning banter. They switch appearances, and they both wear heart sunglasses. Like, do we need anything more than that? No. And they make their way up to the nuns, and what is it? I'm transfixed by your eyes, and I can't lie to you. Okay, thank you. Love that. But we have our nuns. We have our nuns. We're talking to our nuns. We are trying to get into the crypt. We get in because they think that they're stupid, which is so funny.
Well, that was part of the gimmick, and Draco was thinking, like, this isn't going to work. And Hermione's like, come on, I could be a damsel in distress. Like, oh my gosh, we're newlyweds. I'm just devastated. And she just really leans into being a devastated muggle, as long as they're hiding their identities.
Okay. It will help no one to describe how they get the skull, because it is lovely and perfect and an adventure, and you should enjoy the adventure. Skipping to the end. They get the skull, and they're both really horny for each other by the end of it, because everyone is so competent.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, there's it's like a sapiosexuals, where you're like attracted to somebody's mind. That's by this thing. They're ready. That's what this is. They're like, you are so smart. You are so competent. You are, and I'm better. And this adventure was better because of you, and could not have happened without the other person.
Yeah. No, and Hermione starts gushing. She's like, you were amazing, extraordinary, really. I couldn't have done it without you. I would have been turned away at the first curse. Like, this was all for you. I am shocked by you.
The words of affirmation that man didn't know he needed until that moment.
And Draco's like, well, fuck yeah. All right. She's like, you even half-assed a port key and we're safe. He's like, I guess I did do that. Fuck yeah. And they are safe. They have the skull of Mary Magdalene. They are in the desert with boats, very fun. They're trying to figure out where they are. They are asking the Magdalene questions about marzipan dates. It's all charming and fantastic and lovely. They just banter. They just banter. And they end up on a broom trying to find civilization, flying across the desert, right? Just like zooming across the desert at top speed. Hermione is laughing in delight at top speed, flying across the desert with Draco. It is glorious. It is something that they will always remember and they think about a lot. They're in, I think, Central Asia is where they ended up being.
No, I thought it was Northern Africa. Why do I think that?
Okay. And then they end up fluing home. And it was an adventure. It was, and I think it was that the nuns was like the thing that cemented, like that trip cemented them. Like Draco is head over heels in love. And Hermione is too. We don't have Hermione's perspective here, but I would think Hermione is too, from like cemented from that moment on. And they're just so perfect. Because then from there, they flew to the Seneca for showers and they're in robes. The room is like, oh, it's so perfect. They need to leave, obviously, but the hotel is very busy. So they get robes from the hotel, go down to the lobby. And this is where we get Cormac McLaggen and hey, I thought I saw you here with Hermione. Isn't he on the board? That's weird. Why are you so interested in Hermione? Draco is incredibly angry and incredibly jealous. And he's like, hey, come to Quidditch. I'm going to beat the shit out of you. The absolute piss, my guy. Like, we're going.
Well, because he goes and, and Hermione has always been with a lot of people in that self-preservation. She's a woman. She's in self-preservation mode and just trying to disregard certain things. And Draco's constantly like, you don't know what's going on in their minds. And he justifies going into everybody's minds because, well, technically I'm watching over her 24/7 now. And he's like loopholing everything. And she's technically like, you're right, but it's also not ethically right. But I don't know.
Tell your cat I said psst, 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 psst. Her smile was brightness. We love it. We love it. We love it. McLaggen, bludger, tumble. Bye, my guy. Hermione's so angry, blows the stake out. We don't love that. This is where they are screaming at each other on the doorstep, nose to nose, blushing.
Oh, you could feel it. You could feel
the tension.
Like, just kiss.
Draco almost runs away. Cat winds around his ankles. He almost pets him. There's the I'm sorries. And then there's the showing of the newspaper clipping about the heist and about the skull being returned. That's important later. And the next adventure will be Hogwarts at Lunasa. Very fun. Very fun. But this is, come with me to dinner. Come with me to dinner. Come with me to dinner. Oh my God. No whipped cream. Whipped cream. No whipped cream.
There's like, Master's brought home a girl. Get the whipped cream. Ready the whipped cream.
Calling a healer.
And he's like, no. Coworker, colleague. No. And he's like, because he knows all the house elves are going to talk. And she's and Hermione's so about? Innocent. She's like, what was with all the whipped cream? None of you. It is
too funny. It's too funny.
No,
she's wearing a red dress, which is so funny. She's like, I can't just go to your house wearing whatever. And Draco's like, it's just my house and my mom's not there. She's like, it's not just your house. She's like, what? But I get it. The house elves are so excited. Henriette is laying it on thick. he will take you out to see the roses, won't you, Master Draco? Yes, you will, Master Draco. This is also where Hermione's like, you're a liar. Hermione starts flirting. You're a liar. You didn't give me the report, the archaeology report. Where's that, Mr. Draco? There's a little bit of banter. There's holding of ankles under tables. There are, and then there is the, did you know, Henriette, that colleague Healer Granger eats tuna out of the tin cold? Aghast. Let's fill her cupboards from now on, Henriette. It's too fun. It's too.
He is using whatever means necessary to make sure she's being taken care of. Because, again, circling back to the beginning, he goes, you look exhausted. You have no food. You don't have, and he goes, and you know, again, he's like, well, part of my job is to make sure she's protected and she needs to have her strength. So this is all, he's still, I don't want to say in denial because he's acknowledging his feelings, but he's still, what's the word that I'm looking for?
Again, Henriette laying it on thick. They had artichokes. They're on aphrodisiacs.
Rationalize everything.
We're asking about whipped cream, but that's in private. It's so fun. The wine is flowing. Everyone is wasted. And this is where we have our drunken scar talk. Again, go read it. Go read it because it's so sweet. It's lovely. Like we were soldiers, like we were child soldiers, like I'm sorry. Like it won't heal. It's beautiful. You know, they both have this, they sit on the stone bench. And this is where Draco says like, why am I so fucking nervous? I am nervous. They sat on that bench for 3 hours in a drunken little happy haze.
Which, I don't know. Like, I know this is like they're in their 30s, but I remember those moments in high school that you would be drunk in those special moments with your crush and you're just talking. You're just, you know, coming of age story of those moments. And they're getting that now when they didn't have
really
that.
Were. They really were.
Child soldiers. They were fighting
just
the war
as you said earlier,
school.
like Draco is incredibly competent and he like really clocked Larson right away. So a week later when Hermione is meeting with him and Draco pops in, he's like, what's that? What's that? He just operated. What's that about?
Muggle, not a muggle.
I tried a little legitimacy. He got right back at me. What's that? What's that? That's not right. You and I, we need to talk. We need to talk. But also, there's a Nindu out there. Just putting it out there, you know. Just putting it out there that won't be important at all. It's so fun. Okay. Draco gives a gift. To Hermione. Draco gives the gift of revelations. Draco says, I was going to bribe you with this. I was going to bribe you with this book to tell me about your project, but I'm going to give it to you now. This is Revelations. And Hermione kisses Draco on both cheeks. And Draco loses his shit. He absolutely loses his shit. He goes, happy goodbyes. Happy goodbyes. They're so happy. Here's the Nindu. So I guess the way to say this is that while Draco has been falling in love with Hermione, he has also been doing other things because the Hermione assignment, just as you said, does not take up all of his time. So one of his side projects is a Nindu capture, which is factoring into the werewolf storyline, which is factoring into what is happening later. Because werewolves have been mentioned since chapter 1, and the traitor was also revealed in chapter 1, which is very fun. And I did not have picked up on in all my reads just because I'm so happy and vibing all the time. I'm just like, oh, okay. Okay. So this fight, this Nindu has escaped and Draco gets hit with the venom and he ends up, in the hospital, which is the most important part of this. And And that's pretty intense, don't you think? Are you an angel? Yeah, angel healer. I want to kiss you. Will you sit in my lap?
Angel healer.
And of course he remembers everything, and Hermione is just like, oh, okay. They talk about this later, and it's a moment that they both enjoy very much. This is also where her Narcissa comes in and hugs Hermione and is like, oh my God, like, okay. And sends Draco to Hermione's house a little bit later with the flowers. And that is really lovely too, because that is when Crookshanks jumps into the lap and is like, hey, this could be something. Yep, like, okay. And also Narcissa says, like, find out what kind of causes that Hermione champions, because we are really, really going to throw money at her because, like, hot damn, this is what we want. And Hermione wants them to go to the Janus Dickey ward at St. Mungo's. Okay. Now, 6 months. It's July. Tonks says, you don't have to be on this assignment anymore, Draco. You can go off. Draco says, no, I have to stay. Oh my God, I have to stay. Please. Oh my God. This is also the moment that Draco has the realization, Jess, you've been saying it, but this is where he actually has it, that like Granger is purity. And like the rings say like purity above all, but Granger is the purest. And she's like doing so much for everybody. We love that. We love that very much. I think that the scene where Draco goes to Theo for help is hilarious.
And he's trying to be so discreet about like, so I kind of have this crush on this girl and I don't know what. And Theo has known. Theo has collected since the ball and is really just trying to ruffle Draco's feathers to get him to admit something. And to the point where Draco's like trying to be anonymous about everything. And after they wrap their bro conversation about Draco's crush, and Theo's like, tell Hermione I said
it's not a crush. But then he waxes lyrical about eyes. Theo's like, okay. All right. Oh, sure, buddy. All right, okay. All right. Quash those feelings. Yeah, which is important later. We're quashing. Okay. Moving on to August. We're in August. Larson is being really standoffish and Hermione can't get a hold of him. Gee, I wonder why. What's going on? Those plunger syringes, that's the word I'm looking for, have also... The plunge syringes have also been thrown into the mix. Those are also important.
Toilet plunger in my head. I was like,
important. Draco is at St. Mungo's for that tour, and he sees how shitty the ward is, and also Lupin is there, and that's sad. Just another werewolf factor. Okay, but he says that he is giving this money for Granger and that I'm giving you all of these conditions that you have to meet, like boom, 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 boom. All of this is for Hermione. And if you think anything different, fuck you, and I'll take my money and leave. And they're like, no, all is cool. So good to go. Excellent. Hogwarts as adults. It was fun.
I love it. Nothing happens. But
yeah, that old librarian thinks they're fucking in the back of the library.
Like, this is for professional reasons only.
It's so funny.
In the stacks, yeah.
Good for you, I guess.
And he's like, well, I have a couple times. And she's like, I studied here.
It's so funny. It's so funny. Okay, so what happens to Hogwarts? Just as you said, nothing. They reminisce. Stop listening to us and go read this book because nothing is funnier than Draco and Hermione shouting obscenities in front of the Slytherin common room door for like 20 minutes. It's so funny. And it's just nothing we could say could ever like kind of do that for you. Also, Draco in his bed in the Slytherin common room having thoughts because Hermione is in there. And why wasn't she ever in there when they were in school?
I love them. I love them so much. I can't wait as we continue to read. Same people, same couple, same pairing. Love the fandom.
Love it all.
It'll always end up happily ever after.
It is
I don't
just
care by which means. We love it all.
They go to the potions classroom too, and it is worth noticing that Draco shows where he did his penis and vagina carvings. It is so funny. Such a boy thing, but also just hilarious. Okay.
Such a boy thing.
The whole thing that happens after this, which is the troll vodka, again, nothing happens. They get drunk on troll vodka, they wander around Hogsmeade, and they have a really lovely afternoon and a little picnic.
She was like vodka, intoxicating even in the smallest measures.
All right. That's really what it is. July. We're in July. Draco is quashing. Hermione invites him to dinner. He doesn't go. Parties. He doesn't go. He recasts the wards when she's not there. He goes on a ton of dates to like not think about her. This is also where that subplot that's happening, the WTF, the werewolf task force, WTF, has been created, and that is happening. Yeah. Oh, it's lovely. It's perfect.
Hitchcock and Scully come up with the acronym holiday.
Too. There's like this full renovation planned for the ward that's happening, so that plot line is moving along. Maybomb, we're going to go collect mushrooms. But there is an attack at the lab and nobody gets to go. Okay. So there's an attack on the lab and Hermione's inside. Draco goes and Hermione watches through the camera as Draco takes out fucking everybody.
It's hot.
Yeah.
It's so hot.
Yeah, it's really
like
lovely.
when Reese misses everybody hot.
So Draco, again, very competent, goes to Hermione. They call Tonks. Like, what is going on? Okay, so this is the vow of secrecy. So Draco takes Hermione home. Is like, all right, you got to tell me. You got to tell me what is fucking going on. All right, here is the plot. Also, before that, though, he goes, I will always come when you call. Just throwing it out there. I will always come when you call. There's a hug. He couldn't tell her how much of a pleasure she was, how much of a misery it was. Oh my God. Okay. Anyway. Vow of secrecy. Hermione is going to cure lycanthropy.
Read the book.
Potentially later vampirism and reversing the Dementor's kiss. So, this is why Shacklebot was like, you're probably going to piss off a big part of the population. You probably need protection. This is why Draco is now in the vow. And Larson is a part of all of this because he can help do mass production for the cure once they synthesize everything, but he has dropped off the face of the planet. Gee, that's important. Okay. Vow complete. It is 3 months until clinical trials from this point on. All right. Draco cannot get over Hermione. And I say that being like he is completely like humbled by her, which I love. He's not bad. So
he's down
they
bad.
have decided, and through other means, that Fenrir Greyback? He's in play. Werewolf attacks are increasing. More people are getting infected. He's doing that as a countermeasure to Hermione. Things are really starting to pop off now. So Hermione needs around-the-clock security starting from now on. But first, he has to stay at her house this very first night, sleep on the sofa, and Crookshanks has to sleep on his chest, and he has to have a danger wank in her shower.
Well, and this the part where he's like, again, rationalizing. Well, it would make sense if I like stayed the night here.
Yes.
Even like I would be that much closer to her.
Yep. Fantastic teats and where to find them. Don't you have any good reading material?
That was a quote that I highlighted.
The most amazing thing happens after this.
We love this play on words.
Of course,
Thank you.
The most secure place for Hermione to be from now on is Malfoy Manor. Of course. Obviously, old manors are important and have protection. That was mentioned to us fairly early on in this book. And it was Ron's idea. So it was like, okay. And Draco's like, yeah, no, it's a great idea. All right, fine.
Well, and it had to come from Ron because I don't think Hermione would have been
absolutely
accepting of
Keeler
it.
Granger
It would have taken
moves
her
into
more time
Malfoy
at this
Manor.
time.
So perfect. Okay, so what ends up happening from like now on is just like plot. We go quickly here. She has around the clock security. Draco goes with her to surgery this first day. They end up crashing into each other a lot whenever they flew into the house. That's always fun. Yeah. It's Hermione's birthday.
They bumbled around
and
each
Draco
other for a
kind of
while.
misses it, and he's like a little bit weird about it. And he's like, fuck. I didn't know. The autumnal equinox is in 2 days. There's a little birthday cake. There's a little play with cufflinks and cuffs. There's just a lot going on. And it's all perfect. Ron drops off all the birthday presents. And because, what is it? He's not a dab hand at extension charms. I love it. He's never read a book. I've never read a book.
Of course he's not. He's never read a book.
No, Quidditch doesn't count. Hermione and Draco are flirting on the Jotter. Miss you terribly. These other auras aren't as good as you. They breathe weird. Okay. Meanwhile, Larson is killing scientists, right? All of these scientists that Hermione has worked with. Now, during Maybaum, which is the next holiday, there are 12 spots to check. They have to go all over Ireland. They end up finding a magical injured deer. There's antics. It's all very fun. They fall into the mud. It's very lovely. The mushrooms are found. The light is collected with the deluminator, which I thought was a nice little callback with the deluminator. And then there is an ecstatic, naive, childish, joyful kiss. Something had happened. They kissed.
Yes, they finally kiss. And what does he say? She
Draco
caught
was
his eye and smiled at him,
Hermione.
and the great wall of
it's so
quashing
good.
was
It's so good.
obliterated.
All right. Theo's party. Theo's party is so fantastic.
I love
the two parts that really stand out for me are the Amortentia drinks and the sitting in the lap. Of course.
Mm-hmm. Of course. Those are the only parts. I just continue to love Theo taunting Draco. Where Draco at some point punched the wall and he's I framed that.
It's so perfect. It's so perfect.
Or something.
So what we need to know about Theo's party is that Draco and Hermione have a very shitty dance that they do not end up enjoying. Hermione is in black. There are amortentia drinks. Draco's is coffee, seawater, an adventure dust, and some other things. And Hermione lies. We don't know what hers is. But later she ends up... Yeah. Yep. She ends up sitting in his lap.
But he knows she lies
from
too.
everybody.
He's like,
and there's this whole
I know that's
game
not
about
yours.
retying of a bow tie. Again, we're not doing it any sort of justice. The banter. There's loads I'd like to teach you. Oh my God. Teach me the computer, load the champagne, like snuggles deep in the lap. And then they look up and they are completely alone and everyone has left. Oh my God. It is just the most perfect thing. And then they go home and then they have the most perfect dance in the ballroom. It's perfect.
And it's just
They're
quiet.
just kissing in the ballroom.
It's them, and there's nobody else factored in.
Absolutely full on snog. And then they start coming up with like, this is a dream. This didn't happen. We can't do this. Like,
but all the little things that they say, I have some notes. It's like, let me kiss your neck. It's just,
yes.
I want to.
Yes.
I want to reread it all
so
over
good.
again.
It's so
That's
good.
what this comes down to.
We're
to
coming
reread it all over
to kind of the backslide of this. There isn't too much left. All right. We're kissing in the ballroom where we are unable to quash. Draco is down completely full bad. But Greyback has been accelerating our plot and our full moon has happened and 30 people have been bitten, 15 infected. There was a werewolf at Hermione's cottage and Draco caught them. Hermione, though, was taken. She is taken. Oh my goodness. And Draco appears immediately and then he ends up fighting with Larson. And Larson and he have a fight. And this is where Hermione stabs Larson with a scalpel straight up his leg. Oh my God. And Draco uses legitimacy. He gets the plan, right? And this is where we learn that Greyback doesn't want the cure. And he's working with all these like werewolves to develop their own set of weaponized lycanthropy. So like we have the cure and then weaponized lycanthropy. And Larson, also a werewolf, is working with Greyback and they are unwitting allies, I guess, because they really don't like each other. Yeah, they really don't like each other. This is where they're like, all right, fine, Hermione, you're getting us secure flu so you don't get taken again. Never again. Let's go back to the manor. Holy shit. Holy shit. And this is where Hermione's like, yeah, that was crazy. I need Pandora's box, though. Is that crazier? I don't know. That's what we need, though. Jess, what was your reaction when you read that?
This made me think everything is real. That Pandora's box exists, that there is a skull of Mary Magdalene somewhere, and they are all imbued with a certain type of energy.
It is.
That I was like, I can see why everybody,
it's
very
okay.
national treasure. Where you're on the hunt for things.
Over this very sexy, let's watch Crookshanks hunt, not hunt a leaf scene at the window. It's very touchy-feely, kissing on necks, pushing onto groins, and double masturbation.
The de-engorging spells. I mean, like, here's the thing with this book. You get into a moment, you get into a scene, you're kicking, you're screaming, you're giddy, you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this is happening. And then they have like these comic reliefs that it just like gives you the breath that you kind of need in the best way possible. It just continuously adds when you think something can't get better.
Oh my God.
And
double masturbation here. Love that. They feel each other through the rings. Hot. Love that. Love it. Okay. Larson, during his legitimacy, all of this stuff is his idea. Okay, fine. Good for you. All right. Pandora's box. We got to go get Pandora's box. We have a lead on it. All right. We have the Marquis. The Marquis, we're going to meet him in Malaga. and we're going to use the Elder Wand, and Hermione's going to go as Draco, and Draco's going to go as a dog. Yes. Yep.
It's the dog
toy.
that's his Patronus,
Crotch.
but in like
Senior
physical
Crotch.
form, not Patronus form. And the dog's name is Crotch. But this is so good because more of their inside jokes with each other come out in this part. Like they're like, oh, he has a lot of human mannerisms for a dog, and she's like, I've trained him that way.
He pees,
Walk him like
Draco
a dog,
as the dog pees on things.
Hermione.
He plays fetch. He is part of the plan. And again, read it. We're just glancing on it, but it's a heist here that they have planned, and there is deception. There's tricking the Marquis to see this collection, knocking him out, doing a little look over here. I'm gonna take a little bit of this.
You know that Hermione, and what does Draco say? He's like, they're in this for the rush, and there's things that she obviously needs. But he's even teasing her. He's like, you're turning into a kleptomaniac. You're doing that. And Hermione is very much there's the expression that good girls are bad girls who don't get caught. And that's kind of under Hermione's purview for the whole time. She's like, of course they would believe me. I'm the golden girl. I could get away with whatever I want. Because she also knows it's for the greater good, but she explains, I think you could kind of say, like, in a way, her character is morally gray on paper because there is a reason to her actions that would not necessarily quantify as good.
They're successful. Obviously, they did it. The rush. Finally. The rush, Jess, as you said, the rush. But the rush, Jess, as you were saying, they get back to bed. They're just like, whoa, it's one bed. It's also like, Sam Hain. It's like this whole thing. They go to a night market. They drink. It's very magical. It's Sam Hain. They go back to bed. They fall asleep. They wake up. They look at each other. The shutters have blown open. It's magical. And then they start making out. They like kiss scars, and they just like bang, bang. And, it never happened. It never happened. It was a dream, whatever. It did. And it was magical. Hilarious the next day, though. Hilarious. What happens in Spain stays in Spain, I guess. For now. But off we go. And we go to the clinical trials have started, and the Janus Dickey ward is revealed. We love this, right? We love this. Hermione gets McLagan's seat on the board through Draco, because Draco gives it to Hermione, and fuck that guy. And the ward is fantastic. At the end of this, though, we have pamphlets everywhere. It's like Mean Girl style, right? Like, I can't hardly, no. Give me Granger, and the attacks stop. This is in
Mean
November.
Girls. The
there
flyers
was only
are everywhere.
8 attacks. December. Everything is completed. Hermione has around-the-clock security, and the public is like, hey, what's going on? And the public is finally told what's going on. And they're like, hey, no, fuck what Greyback is doing. Yay for a cure. Trials begin. Lupin gets his first dose. That's rad, right? And, you need to write a book, Hermione. Well, I'm going to thank you in my book. Love that. So fun. So we have spell teaching. This is where Draco takes Hermione to the library in the manor. And he's like, I was going to bargain this for computer lessons. I was going to save it for your birthday. I was going to do for this. But here, like, you can...
He gifts, you're right. He gifts the Malfoy library to her, and only those who are Malfoy have access to it. She's the only one who's not Malfoy.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this is also where we get Draco learning the computer
at her disposal
tits.
Whenever she wants.
And then they make out a little bit in the stacks, and they talk about whipped cream and cuffs and flirting. This is where they are fully in love. They are just like so incredibly fully in love here. It is ridiculous, right? Like, come on. And this is where Draco's like, I have to resign. Like, I have to confess. Like, I can't do this anymore. Tonks, I need to tell Tonks. But this is where the distress beacon is activated. And holy shit, like something happened to Hermione and then it goes dead. All of the Aurors are on the hunt. We're tracking hairpins. We're on the mission. There's 300 werewolves. Tonks and Hermione switch places and shit goes down. Shit goes down so incredibly hard. Eventually, again, please just read this book. Eventually, Hermione ends up calling the nuns. The nuns from Mary Magdalene's Talking Skull. When she sent the skull back, she was like, yo, look out for this spell. If I ever saw this spell, I'm going to send you this tracking and like, come get him. Cause when I activate it, the fuckers that took the skull are going to be here and you can kill them all.
I mean, Hermione has always thought about bigger picture, thinking ahead. And
thank God, because everyone was outnumbered. Everyone was going to die. Everyone was kind of just like on the last leg. People have died. Everyone is really hurt. And then the nuns show up. They paralyze everybody. They take everyone that's innocent and drop them on the outskirts of the field. And then they fucking call up a demon and let the demon murder everybody.
Incinerate.
It's amazing. And then, thank you, yay, hello. And then, they
the demon's like,
praying,
thank you, I was hungry, this is perfect.
It's so good. It's so good. I'd love to see it. Draco and Hermione reunited, start kissing and making out in front of everybody, and everyone's like,
everyone was shook.
Yeah.
Like, they were like, I feel like the only person who wasn't is Theo.
I told you.
Everybody else is like, so what's going on?
Tonks is like, is this what you wanted to talk to me about? Because, like, obviously you're compromised. You walked into a curse for her. You would die for her. Draco gets the ring back because the ring had been ripped off of Hermione's fingers.
He gets a write-up too from work. He's like, you weren't professional. You crossed boundaries. He got a write-up and he framed his write-up
that
and left it at his desk.
Person who sold out Hermione was the guy that installed the flue in her office, and that Greyback had captured his family and was holding him hostage. So that's how. And then a little bit later, after the computer teaching, Harry and Ron show up at the manor, and then so does literally everybody else. And they have a huge, like, kind of rager celebrating everything, which is so fun. And it is revealed that Shacklebot's assistant was the one who leaked Hermione's information about the cure initially to Greyback, and it took that long for that information to reach him, and everybody kind of gave Shacklebot a lot of shit about that because that's important. Harry and Ron are absolutely smashed, and they go up to Draco and ask about his intentions, and Draco's like, I don't know.
Which is sweet. Like, they're just like, it's nice.
It is. And they're just like,
everybody's still amicable.
And then it's night, whatever. Draco gets up early. He goes out to Hermione in the morning, and they have love confessions. It's the most perfect love confestions because
necessary.
Draco starts.
Necessary.
And he's just like,
of course it's necessary.
I can't quash anymore. It's just like, what? What? Like, what you talking about? But they both have their love confessions, and Hermione's love confessions are just as cute. You know, you wormed your way in. I did. You did. All of it. You're so competent. You're so all of this stuff. They are so perfect. They kiss in the morning mist. It's so lovely. Then is sex. There's a full chapter of sex, and it's lovely and absolutely perfect. I mean, the book is over. They go upstairs and they make good on the whipped cream. They make good on the handcuffs, the blindfolds. There's legitimacy in bed. There's all of the confessions. Like,
Good
you could have been
for
slogging
them.
here. You had love with me here. You wanted here. Like, you were so beautiful here. Mm-hmm. Then,
And and they're like recreating all the things they felt like they missed out on
all day. And then Crookshanks shows up in the room, and then Draco confesses to Crookshanks that he is in love with Hermione. And then, hello. Yep. Then we're at the end. Hermione goes back to her cottage.
Gets Crookshanks' seal of
and becomes a
approval.
superstar. Draco gets a ton of awards, just like you said, and the one that he got framed. He fixes the ring, and at Christmas time, colleague healer, soon to be Mrs. Malfoy, follows her out to the rose garden. They have their 1 year flashback in their head of everything that's been going on. And he proposes. Oh, it's so good. It's like, but these are your family
such a
rings.
way
Oh, it
that's
says,
so
will you give it a
perfectly
go
them.
with me? It's like, yes to it all. Yes to one last grand adventure. Rings on. Story done. It is the best rom-com ever written. It's the best
Obsessed with
ever
them.
written. It's the best rom-com ever written. There's nothing like it in the world. It is the perfect
Ever
story.
written, yeah.
I love this. Now, we know that the buying and selling of fan fiction is illegal, and that is not something that you should do. Learn to bind books and do it yourself. Okay, it is there. I have said it. There are some fucking gorgeous bindings of this book. They are amazing. They are fantastic. It is just jaw-dropping, the detail and just the gloriousness of some of these bindings. Jess, I want to hear from you. Talk to me about it all.
About the binding or about the experience? I feel this has been such a fun adventure. I know that you have a cycle of specific fics that you are going through, that you typically go through. Have you added any new ones to the rotation? Because you have, just like in our gaming episode, you had shared that you have specific criteria in certain games that you like to play. Are there certain criteria that that you need for your Hermione rotation?
I didn't want to push it back to me.
I know
okay,
one of them being it has to be
thanks.
complete fic.
All right. Okay. Criteria. Yeah. Complete. No cheating. No
And
pregnancy.
I'll follow up too.
Hermione, of course, and little involvement with Harry and Ron. Not heavy, not heavy. So I would say the amount in Manacled is enough, where it's not the whole story, but it is part of the story. I don't mind that. But again, just the no cheating. I don't mind any of the the domineering stuff. Of course, when you get into the super dark stuff, I have my own boundaries there, but it's just fun. I love watching these two idiots fall in love over and over and over again.
That's the thing. And you just want to gobble up. You want there's not, we always say, when it comes to, books that we might be discussing on the podcast, there's so many books, there's so much content, there's never enough time. And that is the 52 episodes that we do. We have our weekly episodes, and that's just for the podcast. That's not including the stuff that we read outside of the podcast. And to find that balance of wanting to gobble everything up and also read like everything in between. It's so delicate. It's so delicate. As a second read, or not even as a second Hermione read, this is perfect. This is exactly what I needed. Because I remember saying, I want to stay in this world. I want to stay with Hermione. But how do you move on from Manacled, especially as your first? Whoa, didn't even toe dip. I jumped right in with that suggestion, and I thank you every day for it. But you want to stay, and it's finding the balance. And so far, I feel like we've found a balance, of course, based on your guidance. And the next one that you had suggested to me after this read was Breathmint's Battle Scars. I don't have the fanfic. I don't have the writer's information in front of me. Well, we can share that in the show notes too. But to what you said with fanfics, since there has at the time of this episode, there's been more conversation in 2024 surrounding fanfics and the illegal selling and, selling of fanfics of other people's work, that has made reading and access to fanfics really hard. And I don't know, and rightfully so, where you have people like worried about their content, other people profiting off of art that's, and it's the one thing that we'll always say about fan fiction is there's so much altruism of the creativity and the art that is being shared with us. And for people to profit off of that that was never the intention. So as of May 2024, the writer has since taken that fanfic off. I'm not sure if they're going to make the decision to make it available again. But if they do, or if they don't, the follow-up to that read would be All the Wrong Things. So, and we're sharing that here because you might not have access to it, but if you do, go ahead. That's part of the reading order that Laura has shared with us. And we'll probably revisit these, Hermione, especially if y'all want, if we hear from you. But keep covering it in the order that Laura is sharing with us. Do you have a favorite part, circling back with like Mortifying Ordeal? Is there a favorite part that you have? I don't have a favorite part. Or is it just like the whole thing? The whole thing is a favorite part.
Because
that's how
every moment is special in its own way. And every moment is needed to build up to their relationship. And if you take away one moment, then you take away their complete relationship. And I would never touch their relationship. It's so perfect. No.
It's like you don't want to touch it. It just needs to stay the way it is, the way it's preserved. And again, to what we've been saying this whole episode, go out, read it, reread it. Remember why you love it and the reclaiming that the fandom has done with Hermione, with the fandom. And in no way is this supporting in our discussion, JK's stances on anything. That being said, feel free to follow us on Instagram. We're at ACOFAE Podcast. We're also both on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. Thanks so much for joining. We can't wait to hear from y'all, and we'll talk to y'all soon. Bye.